this is an added fluency procedure. It has that little thing that says, repeat till firm, right? How many of you have thought, what does repeat till firm actually mean? So what this procedure does is it takes care of your repeat till firm, because if you can go this last step without any errors, they're firm. It also is put into place to build the automaticity of whatever the task is. Okay? We will go through this in many different places, but you're going to want to refer back to page 13 occasionally, so that's why it's its own page. So the first one, you're going to follow the script exactly like it is. Then you're going to go back to the top and you're going to go for like the first word. So the first word is not. You're going to say, what word? Not. Next word's bat. What word? Bat. Okay, you go all the way through. You've added this verification in there. All the way through. Then you're going to say, back to the top. And you're going to take away the wait time. You're going to make it smaller and smaller every single level. So instead of adding a verification this time, we're just going to say, next, next, next. Okay? And then they're going to be awesome and you're going to be like, whoa, here's your challenge. Top down, bottom up. Are you ready? There's no wait time. It's you're not doing a verification and there's no teacher talk. I use the words fast, faster, and fastest. Some people want to say firming up, mastery level. Whatever works for you. Another feature is a goodbye list. Okay? So during the lesson, you kind of make notes. You're doing those basically anecdotal notes. But if there's something that the whole group kind of struggles with, the first time through especially, you're going to add it to your goodbye list. So, and then I'm going to start the next lesson with the goodbye list. One thing is, I know, like me personally, I don't have 45 minutes for any of my corrective reading groups. I have a tops is a half an hour that I have right now. And I'm not getting through a complete and total lesson. I'm getting through 2 lessons in 3 days. Okay? So, if by utilizing the goodbye list, we start the lesson every single day with the goodbye list, it builds consistency too. So no matter where you have to pick up in your lesson, it starts the same every single day. Okay? So I'm going to go here and we're going to come and we're going to practice it just like it was introduced in the lesson the day before. I've added this word's choice on there. Check mark means that we got it right those days. Slash means that they missed it that day. In order to get something taken off your goodbye list, you have to have 3 checks. Okay? And then here's some of that art part gets to come out. So, say today is this. We don't have this one yet. And we say, what sound? Get ready. Everybody ready? What sound? Yes. We got it. We're going to check mark and we're going to say goodbye to it. You're going to go through and you're going to take it off. So I've had several people who are much more creative than I am. They have little songs they sing. They do cowboy goodbyes where they say, yeah, out of here. And they say the sound or the word. You can take things off the list. It's kind of exciting to take things off the list. You can put anything on here. It can be sounds, it can be name, it can be words, it can be comprehension questions, it can be vocabulary. So this is just another way to put in a review. Put in a review, and it's also to addresses those things that might be problematic that are going to come up again. So if we struggled all the way through the lesson that was in, we don't want to just forget about it so when it's exposed to again because we know it's going to come back. We've had extra practice put in. Okay. B1 and B2. Students in B1 and B2 are very inconsistent with their skills. They are taught to continuously blend. They read the words the fast way. The letter combinations are taught. We have a silent E that is taught. Lots of our irregular words are there. We work on building automaticity and building the fluency. As far as materials at both levels, there's a student workbook, a student textbook, and 1 teacher's guide. Some common features in decoding B1, B2, and C is there are blue boxes that are in the student book. So if there's a blue box in your book, that means that it is in their book. So that's where they're going to look. Just a note, anytime the book says find, you want to say touch. But we want them to touch it because, for one, we know that they're ready to go. And then they're already starting to do that process. They're creating their own focus there. Okay? If it is in a yellow box, it is board work. So you are going to physically write it on the board or use technology, because technology is our friend and we can make it do faster at that point in time. So we will show it. I will show you that. Whenever it is in one of those yellow boxes, you are going to want to line it up exactly like it is in the book. These are yellow. So that means we have to write them. Okay. Group reading, students read trying to make fewer than a set number of errors. So if that's their goal. We want to read this section and we're a team. If our whole team together makes less than 3 errors, we've succeeded. I would give lots of student points and we would move on. Okay? If we don't succeed, we're going to do a remedy for that. We're going to give them some extra fluency practice and have them redo it. Okay. There are 4 major parts: word attack, group reading, individual reading checkouts, and the workbook exercise. The workbook exercise is a combination of both teacher-directed and student-independent work at this point in time. Okay. And we're ready to go. So we're going to look at page 122. Looking at exercise 1, wait time is going to be short. Your signal is going to be visual. It could be both. Where's their focus going to be? On you. They have nothing to look at right now. Okay? I'll say some words that you're going to read. Say them just the way I say them. First word, slams. Say it. Slams. Yes, slams. Next word, slips. Say it. Slips. Yes, slips. Next word, list. Say it. List. Yes, list. Next word, send. Say it. Send. Yes, send. Next word, green. Say it. Green. Yes, green. Next word, drinks. Say it. Drinks. Yes, drinks. Okay. You're going to go through and you're going to add that verification. It is there for you on this case, but you want to make sure it's there. You're following that consistent pattern. There's nothing really new to how this works except for the complexity of the words. So it should look very familiar. The correction would be just a simple model. Okay? So my turn. That word is send. Everybody, what word? Send. Yes, send. Okay? Then you would go back and go back to the top and say, the word is slams. What word? Slams. Yes, slams. Next word is slips. Say it. Slips. Yes, slips. Next word is list. Say it. List. Yes, list. Okay? It is exactly the same thing you've already done. Okay? This is good for kids because they, once again, don't have to learn how to do school. They just have to do the content. The pronunciation on exercise 2 also looks a little familiar, just so you know. Exercise 2 is a pronunciation. What we want them to do is, once again, we want them to break it up. And eventually, so we have rock there. One of the pieces of that is that's one sound. Eventually, we're going to put some visual in front of it. And we're going to say, oh, we spelled that one sound, CK. Okay, so it's just progressing as we go. Okay. Listen, rock. Say it. Rock. You're going to say the sounds in rock. First sound. Next sound. Next sound. Yes. When they blend that together, you feel like you're hanging there and you're going, awk. You've done all sounds. And then you're saying, well, what did we actually do? What word? Rock. Rock. Just add the completion for them because it feels like we should do that anyway. It's also another repetition. Okay? Anytime we read, spell, read, eventually, anytime you spell a word, you never want to end on a spell. This is basically the same thing that we're getting ready to move into. You don't want to end just with some sounds floating around. Okay? So, new word, pet. Say it. Pet. First sound. My turn. That sound is p. It's quick and quiet. Everybody, the word is pet. What word? Pet. Yes, pet. First sound. We're still up. So, p. Okay, because it's long, so you're going to want to hold it. Ready? The word is pet. First sound. Yes, p. Next sound. Yes, last sound. Yes, t. Okay. One of those cues is if you have the 3, you're going to hold it 3 sounds. If you have 1, it's just going to be quick and quiet. Okay? What word? Yes, pet. New word. Sand. Say it.
Sand.
Yes, sound. Sand. First sound. Next sound. Next sound. Last sound. What word?
Sand.
Yes, sand. New word. He. Say it.
He.
First sound. So it's just, okay. First sound. Last sound.
He.
What word?
He.
Okay. So you have to adjust your signal depending on whether it's quick and quiet or whether it's a continuous blend. So our next one is letter review. It's an exercise 3. It's blue box. So what does that mean? The kids have it. It's in their book. All right. So we want them to follow along and track. We also are going to add that verification. Okay. Touch part 1. Say the sound for each letter. First sound. My turn. That sound is D. Remember, it's quick and quiet. D. Okay. D. Right? Everybody, say that first sound. Get ready.
D.
Yes, D. Next sound. What sound? Yes, O. Next sound. What sound? Yes, T. Next sound. What sound? Yes, S. Next sound. What sound? Yes, Next sound. What sound? Yes. Okay, simple. Goes the same way. You do, but you want them to touch every single one. Okay? We want them to visually see it, say it, and make that connection. Okay? So I'm touching the T. That shape of that letter, it says T. Okay? So the correction procedure for that would be my turn. That sound is O. Everybody, what sound?
O.
Yes, O. Back it up. Start at the beginning. What? First sound. What sound?
D.
Yes, D. D. Okay. You kind of wrinkle your nose. D. Okay. Next sound. What sound? Yes, O. Next sound. What sound? Yes, T. Okay. So we're just going to go through that whole thing. All right. You want to make sure that it is clean before you move on. So we just we did the correction procedure. We started over. If we start over and go all the way through it, no errors, it's clean. If we make a new error, we're going to go back, then make it all the way through. Okay? So make it through clean, right? And then we can move on. So then we're going to go to an individual test, which just feels a little weird in this book. Okay? So you're going to go in order because they're touching, but you're going to bounce it around. Or unpredictable order, not random. Random means you're just making it up. I'm going to give certain kids specific letters because that's been hard for them. Okay? So Amanda, I'm picking on you now. So if I know that Amanda has added extra sounds to the T, and she's going to I'm going to make sure she gets it in individual turn so I can correct it ahead of time. Okay? Or if you have that kid during the lesson, you're not actually sure they're doing it all, give them extra individual turns. Okay? So touch part 1. We're ready for individual turns. First letter, Kira. Yes, D. Next letter, Caleb. Yes, O. Next letter, Michelle. Yes, T. So next letter, Lindsay. Yes, next letter, Tina. That sound is Everybody, what sound? Yes, Tina, what sound? Yes, Okay. Let's go back. Everybody touch the T. What sound? Yes, T. Individual turn. Michelle. Individual turn. Next letter, individual turn. Andre. Yes, individual turn. Andy. Yes, individual turn. Christine. Yes. Okay, so you can go through. You can jump around if you need to. Go to the second row. If the and the f are solid and you're really sure they're solid, jump around and go down to the n. Okay. One thing we're going to want to do is I'm going to want to try to go back to that M and give Tina another opportunity. Okay. All right. So you look at exercise 5, 123. It is yellow. So yellow means it's going to do what? You have to write it or present it to them in some way. And here's the thing with this. Ugh. If you figure out a way to make it more efficient for you, I hate writing on the board. I have kids that are going to be like behind me, because if they have any downtime, what happens? You lose control. So if you figure out how to do this quickly, let me know. Okay. So here we're introducing a vowel. Okay. And you're just going to say one sound for this vowel is ah. What sound? Yes, ah. That is key right there when you say one sound, because we don't want them to think that we want to prep them to say we could change this, because it changes on them. Okay? So one sound for this vowel is ah. What sound? Ah. Yes, ah. Now I'm going to write some words that have that sound. Okay? I'll say the sounds for each word, then you'll tell me the word. So you're doing the demonstrating of the blending. Okay? So we're going to touch under, we're going to say, my turn. On. Right? What word? On. Yes, on. Next word. I'll do the sounds. Get ready. My turn. My turn. Get ready, Mrs. Henniger. Not. What word? Not. Yes, not. Get ready. I'll say the sounds. Rod. What word? Rod. Yes, rod. Okay, so you would go through them. This time, you'll say the sounds with me. Okay, so we're demonstrating it because this is a new sound. We're going to demonstrate it. Okay, I'm going to show you that it's in all of these words. Then you're going to do it yourself. Okay, so that modeling piece, don't skip the modeling piece. Too often we're like, oh, we want to go, and we rush our modeling. Okay. Exercise 6 is a vowel conversion. So basically the goal of this is to make sure that kids know you change one thing, you change one vowel, the whole word changes. Okay. And so that goes back to the words are made up of sounds, or words are made up of letters or individual parts. Okay. If I know this is coming, I have this written up on my board ahead of time. You might want to space them out a little farther. You want to make sure that you align all of those pieces right in a row, okay? Because you're going to erase them and have to put something in there. And if you don't have them lined, you have to do a snake thing, and it's not a lot of fun. Well, you'll read each word. Then I'll change the vowel in each word. Are you ready? What word? And. Yes, and. Next word. What word? Tap. Yes, tap. Next word. What word? Hat. Yes, hat. Next word. What word? Black. Yes, black. A little bit faster now. Ready? First word, what word? And. Yes, and. Next word? Tap. Yes, tap. Next word? Hat. Yes, hat. Next word, what word? Black. Yes, black. That's up. Ready? First word, what word? And. Tap. Next? Hat. Next? Black. Top, down, bottom up. Are you ready? Let's go.
And, tap, hat, black, black, hat, tap, and.
Now I'm going to change it. Don't look. It's a secret. It's a secret. New word. What word?
In.
Yes, in. Next word. What word?
Tip.
Yes, tip. Next word. What word?
Hit.
Yes, hit. Next word. What word?
Lick.
Very good. You did know all of those when we changed that sound. Ready? A little bit faster now. First word. What word?
In.
Next.
Tip.
Next.
Hit.
Next.
Lick.
That's beginning. Top, down, bottom up. Get ready.
In. Tip. Hit. Lick. Lick. Hit. Tip. In.
Brilliant. Okay. One thing that I have done, and I encourage this, if you have a larger group and you have technology you can use and you can shoot it up on a board, I highly recommend it. So this morning we talked about the difference between our stop sounds and our continuous blend and our continuous sounds. We also talked about the continuous blending, and we've focused a lot on the signal. Okay. Once you get into the higher levels of B1 and then B2 and C, your signals don't change nearly as much because it's either on the board or in their books. Okay? So, like I said, you've done the hardest part already. So once again, you have the yellow there, which means it's going to go where? On the board or someplace displayed. Okay? For each word, you'll say the sounds with me, then I'll say the word. Okay, so this feels very much like before where I did the modeling. I'm saying the sounds, then we're saying the words. So now they're doing it all by themselves. So it's just that same progression. You're going to follow the exact same pattern, but now they have to do more of the work and less of you. So exercise 9. Kira is going to take that over.
Okay, so this part is in the blue box, so where are you going to find it? In the student book. So this is going to be where the focus is not going to be up here, it's going to be in the book. Touch part 3 in your student book. The letters O-L go together and make the sound O. What sound?
Oh.
You're going to read words that have the letters O-L. Touch the first word. What word?
Old.
Yes, old. Touch the next word. What word?
Told.
Yes, told. Touch the next word. What word?
Colt.
Yes, colt. Touch the next word. What word?
Gold.
Yes, gold. Touch the next word. What word?
Cold.
Yes, cold. So then this is the point where we go back and do that fluency procedure. And so go back to the first word. Ready? What word?
Old.
Yes, old. Next word. What word?
Told.
Yes, told. Next word. What word?
Colt.
Yes, colt. Next word. What word?
Gold.
Yes, gold. Next word. What word?
Cold.
Yes, cold. Go back to the first word. Let's go a little faster this time. Ready?
Old.
Next.
Told.
Next.
Colt.
Next.
Gold.
Next.
Cold.
Yes, back to the beginning. We're going to go side to side. We're going to repeat that last word. Okay, ready?
Old. Told. Cold. Gold. Cold.
Repeat that word.
Cold. Gold. Cold. Told. Old.
Nice work. You have that error correction. You're going to do the same procedure. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to say my turn. That word is colt. And then you're going to do an error correction procedure of read, spell, read. So the students are going to read the word, then they're going to spell it with your signal, and then they're going to read it again. When you're first teaching kids how to do the read, spell, read, you do it very explicitly and you go in order and you give them the signal, but then once they get the hang of it, you're going to say, you're going to read, spell, read, and then they'll just do it without any interruption from you, which also brings in that pacing once you've gotten the hang of the error correction procedure.
How did you know that was the error correction procedure? Is that just something you're supposed to know?
It is sporadically put throughout the book. Here's your error correction. After you get into B1, and when it's in a word in isolation, you're going to read, spell, read it.
Okay.
We were still doing that sounding before. Now you've transitioned into a read, spell, read. If in doubt, you always go back to my turn, the word is, or the sound is, give them the opportunity, have them practice, and then start over the task over. So you want to address every error, but if you're going, there's an error and I can't remember which one I'm supposed to use, just follow that pattern.
Okay.
It's better to address it than to be like, well, we're going to let it slide this way because I forgot. Okay. Exercise 10. Pretend that this is all on a board right now. Okay. This has got the underlined part. So we just were introduced to a new underlined part. It's going to be thrown in here with other things that we've already been taught. Okay. So we're going to go look at the underlined part, and then we're going to say the whole word. So it's going to look like this, and I would point, my focus would be on the board right before the word. Okay. There's a tendency to want to put your finger right underneath the underlined part when you're asking the underlined part. You want to try really hard not to do that, and here's why. We want the kids to start to break words into pieces, into parts. This underlined part is something that they know this is going to make that sound, that's going to make it easier for them to chunk a word. Okay. If they just can't get that underlined part, that you can go and do that, but you want to take that structure away as soon as possible because we want them to be able to look at it and say, oh, there's a part I know. Okay? So these words have underlined parts. You'll say the sound for each underlined part. Okay? So first word. What's the sound for the underlined part? Get ready.
Or.
Yes, or. Next word. What's the sound of the underlined part? Get ready.
Or.
Yes. My turn. That sound is oh. What's the underlined part?
Or.
Yes, oh. Okay, first word. What's the underlined part? Get ready.
Or.
Yes, or. Next word. What's the underlined part?
Or.
Yes, oh. Next word. What's the underlined part? Yes, shh. Next word, what's the underlined part? You fantastic, we're amazing. We did all of the rest of those. Great. Now you're going to go back to part. This time you'll read the words. Remember the sounds of the underlined part. So we've gone through and we've identified that underlined part for them. Now they're going to go back and put it into a word. Ready? First word. What word?
For.
Yes, for. Next word. What word?
Fold.
Yes, fold. Next word. What word?
Wish.
Yes, wish. Next word. What word?
With.
Very good. Yes, with. Okay. So it's just that building. Building, building, building. Okay. If you look down at part B, same thing. But these words have underlined parts. You'll say the sound for each underlined part. Okay, so you're going through that whole process again, just a different group of words. Okay. Part whole is sometimes when I get kids that go, oh, and they start to identify and find it themselves, and they're like, this is magic because I just thought it was a word, even though they've been taught a lot of things for a long time. Okay. So you're going to verify anything when that's the end of that kind of task, the correct verification. So if the expectation is for them to say ol, because that's the underlined part, and they're just doing the underlined part, go ahead and verify that. Okay. But if it is part, what part, what word, the end goal is for them to say the word. So you would verify the word at that point in time. Okay. To page 126, and we're going to talk about individual tests. It's word attack skills. So what happens here is that these words have already been introduced to kids. Kids have already experienced these words. They've practiced them. They did great on them. They were at mastery. Otherwise, we wouldn't be at this point in time. Okay, we would have practiced until we got to that point. They are in different orders and they are mixed up, so you don't have the patterns. Here is where the little boxes for the points come into play. These are words you've read. They are in a different order. I'll call on individual students to read each row. There are 6 rows. If we can make 5 rows with no errors, it's going to be worth 8 student points. What you're going to do is you're going to have everybody ready. And we're going to read a whole entire row. But it's in individual turns, so everybody's ready, and everybody should be showing me what you're thinking. Okay. Touch part 1. Individual turns. So we're going to go, Elise.
Got, wish, cold, free, and sheep.
Nicely done. Perfect row. Next one. Christine.
Shop, track, milk, fold, sleep, trap.
Nice. If we happen to have more, we mess one up, we're going to go through after we're done and we're going to do that correction. This is a test. I know that it's a little different than we've done before, but it's whether or not we can move on. Okay. So if we have the errors and we aren't ready to get our 8 points, I'm going to go back and I'm going to say, everybody touch row C. Okay. Let's read those together. Everybody get ready. So I didn't tell them where the errors were for the individual turns. We just did those 2 just to check again. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to go, everybody touch B. Individual turns. Marcia, sorry.
Shop, track, milk, fold, sleep, trap.
Next row, Andy. And you go all the way through and have a clean, okay? But you wanted to make sure you got back to the one for sure that we had the error on. Okay. We are moving on. This game, this is a workbook exercise. And so you're going to open your workbook to lesson 5, and we're going to play the Fooler game. Okay, the Fooler game, when I first saw it, I thought, this is something I can skip. And then I realized and got some training and figured out that it actually has a purpose. For one, we want kids to be able to start to monitor themselves, or other people's reading. So if they find an error, they don't just say, oh, I must have been wrong. It was actually whatever that person said. Okay. We also want them to be able to start to monitor so that they can give each other feedback. Right? So this is how this starts. But it's a Fooler game. We're going to play the Fooler game. I'll read each sentence. Follow along. I'll say some words wrong in some sentences, but not all of them. Okay? Your pencil is down. We also want them to keep it in their head so they can put the feedback back later, so it's not that automatic. What information do I have to keep in my head? Okay? Sentence 1. In the parentheses, it says read slowly, and this is painful for you. Ready? If he frees to go for us. Once more. Nobody's pencils are up. If he frees to go for us. Circle any words I didn't read correctly. Pencils down when you're finished. Okay. So you're still controlling that when they're starting in things a little bit, because you don't want the kid, Andy, who's got this, he's circled it, and then Leanne's all like, so we want them doing it kind of at the same time. So, I missed 3 words. Tell me the first word I missed. Get ready. Is. Yes, is. Tell me another word I missed. Or the next word I missed. Get ready.
Free.
Yes, free. Tell me another word I missed. Get ready.
With.
Yes, with. Everybody should have circled is, free, and with. Okay? So that's just part of the process, and I don't read the sentence that they have in front of them because I want to change it all of the time beforehand. So I just read what I know I'm going to have to read because I want to convert it back. Word reading, these are irregular words on page 136, exercise 4. This is in your book, in their books for them, it's blue. You have underlined words, and the underlined words, you're going to read, spell, read these underlined words, and these are not, they are regular words or they're content-specific words. There is a capital letter in the word Emma, okay? Have them spell it with a capital letter. Then you can start some conversations about that. Say, oh, capital letter, oh, this must be a name. I wonder if this is going to be a person in our story. Just that quick and you're right back. So you are going to do a model first. Then you're going to ask them to read, spell, read. Okay? Touch the first word in part 3. That word is Emma. What word?
Emma.
Yes, Emma. Spell Emma.
Capital E-M-M-A.
What word?
Emma.
You just did a read, spell, read, but we are teaching you how to do a read, spell, read. Okay? So I've asked you to do every single step of that. Okay, the next word is anyone. What word?
Anyone.
Yes, anyone. Spell anyone.
A-N-Y-O-N-E.
What word?
Anyone.
Now, because you're super advanced, this is what we're going to go to. The next word is nobody. What word?
Nobody.
Read, spell, read, nobody. Get ready.
Nobody. N-O-B-O-D-Y. Nobody.
Yes, nobody. Back to the beginning of the line. Okay. So we've gone through all of the underlined words, and now we're going into task B. Go back to the first word, and you're going to go through it, and it's going to be what word. Okay. Your correction procedure is my turn. That word is boss. Everybody, what word?
Boss.
Yes, read, spell, read, boss. Get ready.
Boss. B-O-S-S. Boss.
All right, let's start that line again. Okay. First word, what word?
Because.
Yes, because. Next word.
Let's.
Yes, let's. Next word, what word?
Boss.
Yes, boss. Next word, what word?
Didn't.
Yes, didn't. Next word, what word?
Ready.
Yes, ready. Next word, what word?
There.
Yes, there. Next word? Oh, get ready.
Flop.
Yes, flop. Next word, what word?
Woman.
Yes. Okay, so we started back on Emma up there. We went all the way back through. Then you're going to start your fluency procedure, okay? We do not read, spell, read every word in this list unless there's an error on it. It's only the underlined words. Okay? So all of this work that we've done so far, A, doesn't feel like you have a lot of context reading because you don't. It's small sentences. We are going to start to get into story reading. Story reading, a lot of the process or the design and the delivery are the very same. It is B1, B2, C, and it even feels very similar in comprehension. Okay? So that is part of the reason that we focus so much on the decoding. Is one, it may be what you use the most of, but a lot of the design and the delivery of the story reading goes into your comprehension piece. Okay? So we're going to start on exercise 6. There is a limit error for each section. It is set for you. So in your book, you have a little blue here, and there's a little number right down here. Okay? 1, 1, and there's 2 over here. That's because this is a little longer. Students have these same breaks in their book, but it's just broke by that little number in the brackets. Okay, this is a section, this is a section, and this is a section. These numbers were used if you're doing the points in the box. So if the group reads the section with the error limit or fewer, they receive the points. The correction for this is my turn, the word is, provide the word. You're going to throw it back out to the group and then come back to your individual person. My turn, that word is big. Everybody, what word?
Big.
Yes, big. And then I would come back and I'd say, Tina, what word?
Big.
Start your sentence over. Okay. Likelihood if one kid misses it, we need to throw it back out to the group because it could be that somebody else was not clear on that. It also helps keep them involved in the story reading as we're going. Okay? In the manuals, it will say, have them read 1 or 2 sentences. That's not meaningful text. 1 or 2 sentences may be in the middle of dialogue. So it needs to be a meaningful chunk of text, not necessarily by paragraphs, because we don't want to get kids really complacent where they're just sitting there waiting. We want them following, we want them tracking. We're going to change it up depending on what's happening. And guess what? Our most naive readers, they get bigger chunks sometimes. You do call in that random, or unpredictable order. Okay? So, let's go. We're going to read that first section right there. There's also, in that first section, there's also a line that is underlined. First time kids see that, they want to know why it's underlined, so I always tell you why it's underlined. That's the number, the word count. That's the goal when they do their individual checkout, is that line. We don't want them to stop at that line. We want them to keep reading as far as they possibly can, but that's also just a little, sometimes they breathe a whole lot easier knowing they've passed it. Okay. All right, back to story reading. Ready? So we're going to call people in that unpredictable order. We're also going to say, I want you to show me what you're thinking. Okay? So we have really, really quiet whisperer readers, and then we have those that are reading out loud. Okay? Everybody's fingers on the first page, on the top of that page. I would like Kira, start us off.
There was a big ranch in the West. The rancher who ran this ranch was named Emma Birch.
My turn. That word is branch. Everybody, what word?
Branch.
Yes, branch. What word?
Branch.
Yeah, start your sentence.
The rancher who ran this ranch was named Emma Branch. She rode a horse well. She chomped fast.
My turn. That word is chopped. Everybody, what word?
Chopped.
Yes, chopped. Kira, what word?
Chopped.
Yes, chopped. Start your sentence.
She chopped fast and she swam faster. The men and women who worked for Emma Branch liked her.
Thank you for reading. Next reader, Andre.
They said she's the best in the world.
Okay, so here's the thing. I thought you were doing it on purpose. Here's the thing with that. You also want to praise really good reading. So if you have a kiddo who changes their voice there and say, they said, she is the best in the West. When you finish that, kiddo, when that finishes, thank you. I love the way you changed your voice when the quotation marks came. Okay? You want to be super specific so you're not, thank you for reading. That's good. Is really nice, especially if you don't really know what you're going to say. And we should always find something that they do really well. But if you can be specific, thank you for changing your voice. So we want them to know that. Or thank you for really working to figure out the word branch. Okay? So give them a little bit of praise. Yes?
I just have a question. Like, I know some of my readers, they really struggle with finding the sentence. So, like, if I were to tell them to go back and start that sentence over, I feel like that could cause errors. So how do you...
It does sometimes take it down. Sometimes if you can do an overlay on your paper, or over this, like a page protector or a transparency, and have them go through and highlight the periods in red, because that tells me that I'm going to stop. You're just going to go back to those end marks. So if that is a structural that you can add in, but you also want to take it away as soon as you can. Okay. Red is, so one thing that we've done with the coding, if this is a really big issue, we get into some phrasing and things when you're working on the fluency. Red means stop, so you highlight your end marks red. Commas are yellow because you're going to take a pause. And green for the first letter, if you need to do it, means go to, it's starting new. That is a structure that isn't so intense that using that is really hard, because that means we're really, really struggling. So it's not something you want to pull in all the time. It is something that you just want to do if they can't find it. If you have the kid that just is like spacing off, take the word, go back until you find the period. Take the word, go back until you find the period. Okay? Because they should be tracking, so they should be able to track backwards too, theoretically. Okay? But if that's still hard, because I've had kids like that.
I feel like they know when to take a break, like when they're reading, but like, for instance, in some of the workbooks, they'll say like, find sentence 1.
Yes.
Find sentence 2. Write the first word of sentence 2. They know where that period is, but they still like.
And that's the point of that exercise, is to identify that these group of words, they go together, they have meaning together. So we're finding sentences, we're finding the beginnings, we're finding the ends, basically. We did fantastic. We met our error limit. So then you're going to go to the questions. They have been tracking this whole time. So you're going to say, keep your place, eyes on me. Okay. Because you want them to bring up their attention right here before you start asking questions. Sometimes we have kids that they've just figured out where they're at, and then we start asking the questions, and they're still trying to catch up. So it's really important to kind of keep your place, eyes on me. Everybody, what was the name of the rancher? Get ready.
Emma Branch.
Yes, Emma Branch is the name of the rancher. I forgot to move this. So we're going into questioning, so we're going to secure that attention right here. We're going to state whether it is a group or an individual question. Group, you're going to ask the question, give wait time, signal, and then you're going to add the verification. The verification needs to be in a whole thought when you're doing anything that is connected to comprehension. We want kids to write in complete sentences, but we never talk in complete sentences. And so the transfer isn't there. So we want to use part of the question in our response and our verification, and then the answer. So, yes, Emma Branch is the name of the rancher. Individual question, name some of the things she did well. Lindsay?
Chopped and rode a horse.
Okay. Thank you, Lindsay. Lindsay said that Emma Branch chopped and rode a horse well. All right, everybody, listen big. Lindsay said that Emma Branch chopped and rode a horse well. Everybody, what did Emma Branch do well? Get ready.
Chopped and rode a horse well.
Yes, Emma Branch chopped and rode a horse well. So we took that individual turn. Sometimes we have to clean it up because we have lots of, well, then, okay? Take your individual turn, state it 2 times, and give it back out to the group so that they are responsible for that too. One thing that happens when we do that is the workbook questions that seem to, for some reason, you're like, why don't they know how to answer these workbook questions, especially since we've just done them orally? Well, now they've all had to respond to those questions, even if it was an individual turn. Okay?
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
If she just gave one thing that she did well,
I would
you?
I would verify, and I'd say, thank you, Emma Branch did chop well. And name another thing that Emma Branch did well. Amanda. We want them to read to remember. Remember, they have just done, like, 120 words is all they read at that point in time. Okay? So that's why it's broke up in the small sections. If they don't know it, and they give you the wrong answer, you go back to the text. Okay? And we are going to model all that fun stuff in just a second. One thing you can see in the parentheses there, it will say idea. When it says idea, you need to judge whether or not it can be an individual turn or it can be a group. When it just gives you the answer, there's plain Emma Branch is the only one we have, that's going to be a group response. Okay. E, it says what is the name, so who had the biggest horse? The next question is, what was its name? Flop, it's going to be a group response, okay? On D, it has idea there. Who had the biggest horse? It's Emma Branch. Some people say the rancher. You would accept either of those. I usually do that kind of thing as a group because I'm going to hear Emma Branch and I'm going to hear rancher coming out of all of you. But if they're going to have to construct something, it's going to be an individual turn. Anytime they have to construct the answer, individual turn. Okay, so let's try D. Ready? Who had the biggest horse? Get ready. Right, so we had it all, but we're going to, here's the thing I would do on that one. We weren't all answering together. Like, even if we were saying Rancher or Emma Branch, we had the pickup going on. So it'd be my turn. Who had the biggest horse? Emma Branch had the biggest horse. Okay, everybody, who had the biggest horse? Get ready. Emma Branch. Yes, Emma Branch. And I'm going to pick one at that point in time. So if we actually, and that is just to clean it up, we had the right answers. We just are cleaning it up. If we actually get something like, who had the biggest horse? And I get flop. I'm going to say, my turn. Who had the biggest horse? It is Emma Branch. Or read to verify. And then I'm going to read this because we are working with comprehension right now. We are not working with decoding, so we don't want to do have to do a decoding thing. So I'm going to read it. So the rancher had a lot of women and men working for her. They worked with the sheep and the goats, and they milked the cows. Each worker had a horse, but the rancher's horse was the biggest and the best. So who had the biggest horse? Everybody, get ready. Yes, Emma Branch had the biggest horse. So if it is literal and it's there, you're going to go back and find it in the text. We're going to read to find out, read to verify. If it is more to where you're going to have to infer and it's not as solid, it's not literal, you're going to we're going to do a think aloud. Okay? There is not one right there. That is a really good example of that. So we're going to pretend that on the second part, Flop, why did Flop have the name Flop? That's an idea, so it's going to be an individual turn. But if we have it wrong, so say a kid says, well, because they liked the way that sounded. Okay, you're going to go back and say, my turn. I know from the text that anytime anybody got on the horse, that the horse threw them off and they went flop on the ground. So I think they got the name Flop because of how the horse reacted. Okay? So you give them their thinking and you go back to the text that made you think the way you were thinking. So you're just doing that basic think aloud. Okay? So if it's literal, go right back to text, read to find out. If it's not literal, give them the answer, but do your think aloud with it. And refer to the text that would give you that information. Okay. Earlier in the day, we talked about that goodbye list. These questions can be on your goodbye list.
I have a question.
Yes.
When you are doing this with small groups and you have a kid that's gone, what do you do?
If they're gone for one day, I have the kids do a summary, tell what happened in the story.
Okay.
And I have them say, remember that we want to have, for a summary, we want to have big ideas. We want to have the beginning big idea, middle big idea, and end big idea of what happened yesterday.
And then just move on.
And then just move on. If there's things from on the workbook or something that came for that student, they don't count. They just don't do them. You give them the answer. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So the big thing with the questions, anytime we have an individual question, we are going to restate it. You might have to clean it up because it might have a little bit of pieces. You're going to verify that they are right, and you're going to praise them. And you're going to say, let me clean that up a little bit, okay? Or let me straighten that out, okay? So thank you for your answer. And then you say it twice and shoot it back out to your group. Okay. In B1 and B2, we have checkouts. There are 2 readings for a checkout. The first reading of the checkout is done on the current lesson. So if we are on lesson 24 and we are ready to do our checkout, or 26, and we're ready to do our checkouts, we're going to have them read the first section. We already sectioned it out for you. We're going to have them read the first section with their partner. There is no time limit. It's not timed at all. There is an error limit. So if they have 7, they're going to have to reread it. The second part of that is you're going to flip back to the previous story. So it's not a cold read. It's like a lukewarm read. Like they've read it before, but we want to see if they're going to be able to practice that skill. It is timed for 1 minute. They're going to read as far as they can for 1 minute. The goal is to get to the underlined word or past it, but they should keep reading because they're going to chart it in the back of their workbook. And there is an error limit. This is what is recorded in their workbook. So if you're on lesson 26, you're going to record how they do on lesson 25 for the checkout. Okay? Here are some key ideas on group reading, especially when you have a bunch of kids all over the place. You're going to take like an overlay, because you can take a dry erase marker and go over the top. So Kira, will you sit with me? So if her and I are partners, we are going to sit side by side. This is so that I am not having to yell across the table like this would be, or even side to side here, because if we have a partnership over here and a partnership over there and you're both reading to the center, it's really hard for kiddos to hear what's going on. Okay? So you just turn their chairs, and I'm going to turn here, and if I'm reading, I'm going to read down here, and I'm reading right into her ear. Okay? She's going to have her overlay, and she's going to have her dry erase marker, and we're going to have a timer. So I would go ahead and I would just read. She would chart. She'd give me the feedback. If I had more than the set number of errors, if I had 4 and it was only supposed to be 3, I would reread that again. Usually I have kids flag me if their partner has more. I say, you need to have me come over, and then we just have a conversation. They have to mark it, and then they do talk about the specific words. You have to set some rules up. This is to help you. We are not going after kids to make them feel bad, but we are here to help our partners get better. They're giving you that feedback, so next time around, you don't have to worry about it. You're going to know that word. Okay? I rotate. If I have an even group, I listen to a different group every single day. You go around. So you have your chart in the back, and so I've got all these really high ones here, and this one's really crazy up here. And then I come and I listen here, and it's here. I'm like, let's talk about our pattern that we see. So making sure that that's kind of trying to hold them accountable. I also do, when I'm listening to a group, their partner's also counting and keeping track. If we have exactly the same errors and exactly the same amount of errors, I give 5 points automatically to the team. So I put some incentives in there so that they don't lie. Okay? And they don't even do it on purpose. Sometimes you have two extremes. You have the kid who's like, every time they paused, they didn't read it the fast way, so I'm going to mark it. And you have the other one who just doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Okay? So it really goes back to that we're helping each other out. We're a team. So first reading, no timing. Second reading, timing. Okay? Your chart looks like this. This bar is the number of words. Here, it's all 3. Okay? And this changes depending on the lesson. So you've got a gradual increase in the number of words correct. Okay. Here is the summary sheet that you put all the kids' name on, and I always put a star, or I put the number, depending on how many kids, that I actually listen to them on, and write it down on here. Okay. And you virtually listen to 2 kids a day. That is B1 and B2 in a nutshell.